What we need to do is encourage our business community to create those jobs.
I want to remind you that when you applaud, you just cut into her time because she literally has 30 minutes to answer these questions.
That's only possible in Washington, D.C. A fog of taxation. Those tax cuts are not made permanent, specifically the death tax cut. The senior partner, if he were to die, if the senior partner were to die, less regulation creates a better business climate. And we could do that simply by doing what, when I talked, if we were allowed to do some things like build 2 coal-fired plants in Ely, which were crushed by our government. And certainly Obamacare has taken $500 billion out of the Medicare system, which is hurting our seniors. It is hurting our seniors, and we need to make sure that our Medicare is whole for our seniors, and that means that they need to have choices like Medicare Advantage. Got my degree in education, and in fact I got into politics because my son failed kindergarten. When I put him back into his second year of kindergarten, I realized that it was morally difficult for him. He was demoralized as a student and felt like a failure. So I had a 6-year-old dropout. And make sure that that money comes back into the states. We use that money for our education right here in the state at the level close. What has happened since the Department of Education was put into place in the 80s is that education has diminished in quality over the years. We need to have education quality here in our state to encourage businesses to come and establish themselves here in the state. Plain education for Nevada.
I realize so far that Robin's earlier request and my request to not issue catcalls or applause have fallen on deaf ears so far. But we do have 2 more questions left, so hey, at the end, you want to shout, jump, whatever you want to do, save it to the end. But we do have some more ground to cover.
And when we talk about these tax cuts expiring, we're talking about tax increases to families, to small businesses.
That's not true.
Because they can trust me. In my legislative career here in Nevada, I have a record, as I said, of voting no over 100 times against tax and fee increases, poor public policy, and unconstitutional laws. My opponent, on the other hand, has a record of voting over 300 times for tax increases, of voting for poor public policy like stimulus and bailout, and for voting for unconstitutional laws like Obamacare. We need a senator who will keep their oath of office to uphold, defend, and protect the Constitution. I did it for you as a Nevada state legislator. I kept my promises. I will keep my promises as your U.S. Senator. And I promise that I will always tell you the truth and that you can trust me to tell the truth.
all for coming. I appreciate and love your passion. Can we have a round of applause for both candidates? Moderating a debate sponsored by the Nevada Broadcasters Association. It will feature Harry Reid and Sharron Angle together. That takes place on Thursday, October 14th at 6 p.m. Thank you very much.